Second.
Moved and seconded, we open the public hearing. All those in favor? Public hearing has two articles. The first, shall the town vote to allow Belgrade Historical Society, the society, to expend money donated to them on the restoration renovation of the old townhouse building located on the Cemetery Road, in order that the society can use it for storage and display of its collections and other activities, providing that the plans for the restoration, renovation are submitted to an approval, to an approved, well, it's an and there, and approved by the Board of Select Persons. Once plans have been reviewed and approved by the board, the society has the authority to hire contractors or arrange for qualified volunteers to perform the work. All aspects of the restoration renovation project shall be the responsibility of the society. Dennis?
As you recall, at the last meeting, there was some controversy over this particular article brought to us by a local citizen. You tabled it in order for the board of the Belgrade Historical Society to go back and give more information from the board. So Mary Vogel, who's the co-chair of the Belgrade Historical Society, is here tonight. You may want to.
Yeah, we brought it to our committee, we just caught it by surprise. We brought it to the committee, morning, co-chair. And anyway, our committee was pretty much in agreement. We wanted to move forward with the article the way it's written.
Any other comments? Jack?
On the write-up here, there are two vacant signatures for two of the select persons. Does that indicate a disagreement on the board, or
I don't
just
think
that
it
they weren't
does.
available to sign that sheet?
Yeah.
We were required to get a majority of people to sign it, and we got the three signatures.
I wasn't available. I was out of town.
Benny?
The other comment I have is that I did go back and check. Back when I was last town manager in 2009 is when Miss Maris, who was then the president of the society, attempted to register the historical society, the building on the National Historic
Register,
Building
yeah.
Register. And they came back with a response that essentially said that you should try to preserve what you can, fix what you can, but it's a historic, essentially an historic site, and it wouldn't be eligible for the register. But I gave copies of that to, I think, everyone.
I remember that anyway. So I remember.
Mr. Barrett?
I'd like to move acceptance of the article.
Well, let me see, before you do that, hang tight just a second, please.
You can't do
Yeah.
it until we close the public hearing anyways, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any more comments from the public on this particular warrant article? Okay. We have another thing to look at, and this one, Benny, you're gonna have to help me on.
Yes, this article, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
This is the annual approval of the GA maximums for general assistance. These are the minimum maxes, if you know what I mean, the maximum allowance, but it's the minimum that you can approve. You can go higher if you want to allow higher, but this is generally what we've accepted in the past.
We've done the minimum every year.
Yeah, the minimum max.
Yes.
Yeah, we do that every, yeah.
Yeah.
Comments? Mary?
I'm just curious as to what the changes were in the ordinance, because it doesn't state. It says what the new changes are. Are they down or are they up?
They're up slightly. I can get you those if you want. I had to go back and look at that myself.
Just
I
slightly?
mean, yeah,
They're
no,
up slightly. Yeah.
Yeah, Ernie?
I guess for next year, usually we have,
I can get you, yeah, I should have.
yeah, that's fine, but once we approve this, then we'll have the numbers.
Right.
Because until it's approved, we don't really have the numbers.
Any more comments? Look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So be it.
Second? Can I get a second? Thank you. Moved and second, we close the public hearing. I'd like a motion to open the select board. I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor? The select board meeting is now in effect, and I think we have to vote on both ordinance, or actually the hearing articles. So, yes, Michael?
I'll restate my motion to, or I will state my motion since I didn't really state it.
Yeah,
To accept the one concerning the Historical Society as written.
do I get a second? Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. And for the min-max GA, looking for a motion to accept the minimum and the max. It's moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I have just one.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm assuming, Denny, that the draft is what it's gonna be.
In fact, the draft was they marked the draft by mistake.
Oh,
They sent back a follow-up saying the draft shouldn't be on it.
yeah.
And I have in my book, the draft was removed, but this was a copy that I'd given him, and I forgot to give him the copy with the draft removed. It was left on by mistake when they sent it out, and then they sent out a new book.
Well, we have both.
Yeah,
We have one without, but I was just curious if the draft was what we were
no,
doing.
that's exactly right.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Under old business, there is none. Under new business, Mr. Martin, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Again.
Again, no problem. All right, for those who came in late, this copy, who doesn't have a copy of the schedule and stuff, I mean, that's what we need. What that is just basically the schedule moving forward with the project where we're at. When you look at the top of it, you're looking at where the check is, final map, and the final right-of-way mapping's done. Some of you have probably been notified by an appraiser. If not, they will be calling you to meet you on site to look at the impacts, to come up with that value. And then you'll be followed up with that with a negotiator of those impacts, and they'll come to sit down with you and talk about what are the impacts to your properties. So looking at the overall schedule, what we call the PS&E, the plan, specs, and estimate, that's gonna be done and complete by the end of January. And then looking to advertise the project, I didn't do this intentionally, Valentine's Day. I do like it out here, but I didn't do this intentionally. Bid opening is gonna be around March 7th, and then project award on April 2nd, and then construction begin. Okay, based off the last time I was in town with a formal public hearing, there was some discussion about when we're gonna construct this, so we're staying away from July and August. So basically, when April 9th comes around, what you're gonna see is tree clearing. They're gonna go out, cut the trees down that are associated with the project to let the utilities relocate, and that's all you're gonna see next summer until after Labor Day. And then on September 4th, what we're gonna put in the contract, the contractor that's awarded the contract is gonna have an open house somewhere. I'm not sure if it'll be here or maybe downtown somewhere, where you guys can come to the town office and see what the contractor has for a schedule to inform you more before they start the physical construction aspects of the project, which has been working quite well. It worked well in Agunquit, it worked well in Thomaston. I think it's another way to inform you guys, bring you guys closer to the contract and understand where they're gonna start and what their process is gonna be in the quarter. We don't know what end of town they're gonna start on, whether it's the north end, south end, or in the middle. We don't know that until obviously they're on board. So from the construction summer break is gonna be between June 23rd and September 3rd. So there's gonna be absolutely no work to the project. So what you see out there today, other than maybe a few trees that are gonna come down, it's gonna be just like this next summer. So it's gonna go unchanged. So after Labor Day happens, that's when the dirt's really gonna start to fly. And weather dependent, hopefully we have a mild winter, so they can work later into maybe December, maybe we get into January before they shut down for winter operations. And then when Mother Nature leaves in the spring, they'll start back up. And the completion date's June 21st of 2019. Based off what we've looked at, they're gonna be working Monday through Thursday, sunrise to sunset. Fridays will be sunrise to 3 p.m. and then they're shut down for the weekend and come back on Monday. No work on Saturdays, Sundays, or holidays. If it's a holiday weekend, usually they'll come in and they'll work till noon time on Fridays. That's part of our standard specifications. And mostly you're gonna see alternating one-way traffic, if not two-way traffic going at all times, but you're gonna see a lot of one-way traffic with probably, I'm guessing probably the whole distance of the project will be a work zone at the same time. The good news is that it's still funded. Originally, when we started and conceived the project, it was estimated at 1.7, so we jumped it up about $800,000. But as you can see, looking down the list, you know, you got 400 and some odd thousand dollars, 453,000 that was associated with the additional brick sidewalks and the sidewalk lighting. So all the time when it was funded, it's really not a big difference in overall cost, which is good. And the town's obligation is going to be around, I think it was 55, Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, in the cooperative agreement, so it might jump up a little bit because of the added cost. So other than that, that's where we're at.
Any questions for Mr. Martin? And please, if you do, raise your hand and then state your name, Mr. Ketchel.
I've got a question, and I think you've answered it correctly to me before, but I want to make sure that the public is aware of it. At one time, we were thinking about having signs, maybe promoting the fact that you might want to seek alternate routes because of the construction through that area. What's your response to that?
We're not gonna we don't wanna direct traffic otherwise, you know, obviously the locals are gonna do what locals do, they know the traffic patterns, but, you know, before, when you get into June, school lets out, you still got a week in there that people are still gonna be traveling, you know, tourists. But for the most part, you know, we're not gonna tell people to take alternative routes.
More questions? Yes.
Lonnie Carlson, can you state your title? I don't know.
Senior project manager with DOT.
Thank you.
Yes.
Carol Johnson, are the utility companies gonna be, through by June 22nd? They're, okay, so they would not be working through the summer?
Correct, that's the plan, is as soon as the trees go down, they're gonna be out there setting poles. They'll probably be setting poles probably before the trees come down, because they can go out and just set the pole on the ground, and then trees have to be out of the way once they respan the lines.
Jack?
Question for the town manager of the board. On the back of the sheet, the town of Belgrade project cost $60,000. Does that require an article or approval by the town at a town meeting?
Ernie, go ahead.
We already, several years ago, there's a number has already been voted on by the town. We may have to readdress the actual number now, but we already have in the coffers 50 or 55. We have 40 to 50,000, I believe. I don't know the exact
I
number.
only asked, that has to be
Yeah.
an item for the budget committee,
Yes.
select person.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Barrett?
Ernie, I understand they're gonna be working on the Oakland Road also at the same time, is that right? Is that correct?
The one out here?
Road,
Route 11.
yeah.
Yeah, Route 8, Route 11.
Will that be torn up at the same time the village is torn up?
It'll kind of be in conjunction.
So that would have been the alternate route anyway.
That would have been the alternate route.
Okay, thank you.
That's an annual occurrence.
Yeah, when we come to town, we come to town. We disturb.
You know, it's probably not gonna affect it more than it has already.
That's exactly
With the
right, yes.
electric
I
company
was
out
just
there,
I was just curious.
Whether it's gravel or
Right.
pavement that's out there, it's kind of the same condition.
There'll be one lane through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Questions from the public? Sir?
Chance Carlson. I just had a question about the brick sidewalk. I understand the cost, but the longevity and the frost heaving and basically a brick sidewalk, it becomes a mess, and the uneven bricks become a safety hazard, so why was that chosen?
That's been asked and answered a number of times so far. Carol, you want to answer that?
The brick sidewalks were chosen, their longevity is significantly longer than the asphalt sidewalk. I think the numbers were given is 10 to 12 years on an asphalt sidewalk. Brick sidewalks will go 50 years plus. And there's a new technology in building brick sidewalks that the state uses, City of Portland uses, as well as Boston, where they now get the ground level, pound it solid, a pounding machine, and then they put in a layer of asphalt, before they lay the bricks. When the bricks are laid, the dirt goes in, it has a, some kind of a mix on it that,
Sand mixture with cement, then the bricks set on that, and then we actually put plywood on the top of the bricks and take a compactor and pound it down more, and then just fill the cracks in with sand.
You know, the bricks better than concrete? I know she's talking asphalt, but with a concrete sidewalk?
They're comparable, they really are. I think with the reason they hold up better is we put that layer of pavement in at a 2% grade, so this is looking at the sidewalk, so you put that pavement in a 2% grade, water gets under the bricks and then just runs to the gutter line and runs away, as opposed to hold in the bricks, and then that's where the heaving starts. So the water gets out of there so it can't freeze and then shift the bricks.
Believe me, we have discussed that at length, many times. Mr. Ketchel,
Oh,
you understand this?
Well, the question I have, I think I sent you some information on, and there's some concern in the village about the current plan and questions about whether or not the mail delivery truck can back in without crossing over that crosswalk, that area. So,
Either we go back to the old concept or leave it the way it's designed. I guess that's the option right now.
We already had quite a discussion on that, if I recall.
We did several times.
Yep, we've had plenty of discussion on that.
Sir, your name, please?
Patrick Donahue. I'm with the Main Lakes Resource Center.
Mhm.
And maybe, not today, but our group would like to just talk to you about how we could work with what we have, or look at the other one. We may have to modify our site a little bit to get the distance we need.
Yeah, really, at this point, it's probably gonna be a contract mod to just change it to field. You know, we've had plenty of dialogue, we were here last time, talked about it, and we talked about changing it from the old island, which I thought was a great concept, but I think it came down to communication from you folks and the post office to, you know, oops, we missed a delivery truck, how are we gonna make that work? I still think the delivery truck can get in there with what's there. I guess the question would be is when post office deliveries happen, when do they happen?
The early morning and 5 o'clock, twice a day.
So probably before you're open and probably when you close.
Right.
So those spaces shouldn't be used. So the truck should be able to navigate in and out of that pretty easily, when you think of that concept.
Yeah, they expressing their concerns about that.
Yeah. So I mean, what other post offices have done in the past is just block them off when they know a delivery truck's coming, so they're open and just pick the cone up and let them come in and back out and away they go.
More questions? I think you had one, no?
well, I was just gonna explain that the town is not responsible for the brick sidewalks, so if that was your concern.
Yeah.
And we've
And I guess if you get down in the southern part of the state, we just did a Gunkwit Route 1. It's pretty much gonna be the same brick pattern. And they've been through a winter and they've had no issues. I think the only thing we talked about last time was the tip downs, not being brick, because someone complained about plowing. I think it was you. But anyway.
I just said I wouldn't plow.
Yeah. So what happens is if you put those tip downs, the ADA tip downs in the driveways, if you put those brick, you know, no one that plows has really been used to those. So if you hit that with a plow, those bricks are just gonna pop. So we agreed that we're just gonna take the bricks until that tip down comes and then just go pavement. So it shouldn't get impacted by the plows.
Any more questions from the board? Mr. Rice, Mr. Martin, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We do appreciate it. And appreciate the information that you've been very good about putting out to the citizens of Belgrade.
Yeah, and I think once we start, obviously, with what we talked about on the schedule, once we start construction, there'll be a good communications plan in place where we'll probably be interacting with someone from the department, you know, passing information along, like bi-weekly updates from the contractor, where they're gonna be working. I think the key is that meeting the day after Labor Day with the contractor opens the doors and brings the public in to see their schedule. and where they're gonna be working first and where they're gonna be working last. So I think that's a good thing.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
I'm gonna move another little thing in between, before we start Bar Harbor. Last week, I made the comment to Mr. Barrett that shall and will are the same word, and if he didn't understand that, he ought to get a dictionary. Somebody in the audience took that as we were fighting. We probably weren't fighting. So I apologize to Mr. Barrett for that smart remark that I made. But I think the board gets along pretty well together. We're certainly not all on the same level in various issues, but I shouldn't make smart remarks, Mr. Barrett.
Are you going to accept that?
I'm thinking about it.
Well, we're
We're
gonna
gonna
vote
take a
on
vote.
it.
Thank you very much.
Shall you accept that, or?
Yeah, so you were worried.
Shall or will.
Depends if you're gonna write it up as an ordinance.
Michael, look it up.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the Bar Harbor Bank and Trust Resolution, which requires, go ahead, Denny.
There's a couple issues. They wanted to have an updated resolution on who you would authorize to sign in on any, on behalf of the town for any transfers, et cetera. And they put a sample resolution in the thing for you to look at, and sign, and designate who you want to sign. That's the first thing. Then they had a section in here that said when we met in March, it was, and that was before I came. It was decided that 90% of the income would be distributed and 10% of the income would be reinvested. It was going to be discussed how often income should be dispersed. If a decision has been made in this regard, please let us know. I don't know if you've made a decision on that yet or not.
Did we?
I can answer that. Basically, the monies will not be distributed until the voters give us approval. So at the end of the year, we know what's there. We put it before the voter, this is what we want to take out. They approve it.
Yeah, I think that
It's
was,
an article, because the money's accumulated all year long,
Yeah.
so we don't have authority to reach in and grab that money. We have authority based on what we have for data. We put the article together, then the voters say yes, yea, or nay.
Okay, so there would be a warrant article.
That
That's
would be a
what-
warrant article that would approve the withdrawal of the dollars that have accumulated at the end of the year.
Okay, so what I'll do is put a letter together for
Yeah.
signature.
and we need signatures on who for the town will sign for these accounts. And that,
I would say the town manager.
I would say, well, the financial secretary, or our financial person, and Denny is who I would say would do that.
Danny ought to be first and then the financial.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be the way I
Thinking we have this in place already, but so.
Well, they want it
must want a new-
reaffirmed.
Yeah, but I mean, so before it was town manager and,
So let me have a motion on that.
I'll make a motion, we put the town manager first
Yep,
and treasurer second.
treasurer second. Do I have a second on that?
Yeah, I'll second it, but I have a question.
Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Barrett?
When you say first and second, do you mean the second person signs if the town manager is not available, or the second, or they sign in this line here? The
No,
second line?
I think before anything's done, town manager should okay.
Right. Well, who is this, why did you say sign second? What are you getting?
Well, it's a second on the
Yeah.
list, but.
Second
on the list.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
That's all it was.
And I think the purpose there is to have co-signatures, so one guy. like,
Right.
Yeah, so you don't have.
I would hope I would never, but you never know what
You never
happens in the
know.
world.
You never know.
Applebee's might go up in price.
well.
But you know what I mean, you have to
Go
have
ahead, Ernie.
co-signatures.
The thing that potentially we could run into is, and probably not, but the person that pays the bills really is the treasurer and knows the dollars that you're gonna be sending. The other activities, transferring certain things, and,
Yeah, it's always good to have
yeah,
co-signatures.
oh, yeah, no, that, yeah, you just,
So I'll put that together in a format other, in this, but to clearly designate this, then I'll have board members sign it, at least three.
Mr. Barrett?
Should the, where it says secretary of the board, should that be changed to treasurer? 'Cause that's what we're talking about. We don't have a.
No, well, what I'm gonna do is have all of the board members sign off on the letter. This is just their.
When the letter goes telling them what to do, then we'll sign off and you'll have the two signatories on there.
Yeah.
can we just have a chair, really, but we don't even.
Yeah, but you normally sign five.
Right.
If I had been thinking, I'd have had that all prepared for
Oh,
you.
this is
I
just
I wanted to give you what,
This is just their format.
yeah, this is their point.
That's all it was.
More discussion.
Jack's got his hand up.
Chad, yeah.
It's just a question about approval procedures. Do those approvals flow through the normal warrant procedure that you have at each meeting?
I would guess you approved the warrant.
Well, this is for transfers of money and things, and as I,
With their accounts.
yeah, within their accounts.
So it wouldn't come before us. It wouldn't be required to come before us.
No, I mean, there wouldn't be any withdrawal, anything, or expenditures, obviously. If this is just, as they say, are authorized to receive statements from the Harvard Trust Services, and are authorized to request transfer or distribution of funds from the accounts. But that wouldn't be done without your approval in the first place, but this just gives us a,
And as Ernie said, that's a warrant article at the town meeting.
Yeah.
As far as any of the monies that gets transferred into our local account, then can't leave without the warrant article saying, yes, you can spend it. We would get it on our warrant.
Jack, did that take care of your question?
Yes, it does, thank you.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? Next item is policy replacing social service requests.
yes. Because we're initiating the budget process earlier, and we're setting up a procedure and a schedule, one of the things that came before me anyhow was, how do we let social service organizations know when to get their information request in? Well, in researching that, I looked at the policy, the last policy that I had access to, and it was in 2010, and I understood at that point in time, from talking to some staff, that in fact the board had voted in 2013, although there was never a formal policy signed, to have all social service agencies requesting money from the town through the town warrant, the town meeting warrant, to do it through petition. So I put that together for you to approve, if that's still what you want. Now it becomes, it's the policy rather than a board vote. It hadn't been set up in a policy before. Then I was talking to Ricky, and Ricky said that, well, I think we also said that those petitions have to be due by a certain time frame, which I did not include on this, but Ricky wanted me to bring it up in case you wanted to put that time frame in it.
We did have a time set that they had to be in. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was before, I think it was,
December 1 or something like that.
well, it was November. Because we work on our budget.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, one of the reasons we got to this, and it's something the board might want to just think about, is we used to have 10, 12, and we would do some and not others, so then we just said, hey, we just will do, you gotta do a petition. If you want monies, you gotta do a petition, it has to be in by November 1st. That was the gist of it, quite a ways back, so. I think the petition process is kind of inconvenient for a couple of the organizations that we've always, and they've done so much for especially the needy and the elderly people in this town. So I feel kind of bad about that. So the only way I would feel comfortable in not requiring a petition is if we eliminate, just made it 2 or 3 organizations only. Otherwise, you open up the door, floodgates again, and they'll be empty.
As a comment to that, just to
Yep.
provide, any organization can petition
Oh, yeah.
to have anything go forward.
You can't really limit
So
anybody.
you can't limit the petition, you can certainly say a time frame that you need before it goes, if you want to put it on the town meeting warrant. You can certainly limit that.
How many
But it
signatures?
would ultimately have to go to the people at some point in time if it was petitioned.
How many signatures needed on the petition?
It's 10% of the most recent.
So that's a fairly good, that's a good sized job, that's 70,
Oh, it's 170 something.
It's
170, yeah. Wow, that's pretty onerous.
Well, it is, it's,
And you bring up another good question, what is considered a social service organization? I mean, because I know what I think you consider social service organizations, but anyone not connected to the town doing social service, including, I would assume, the Belgrade Lakes Regional Business,
They're nonprofit.
because they go before us for money for the fireworks.
But,
Oh, well, it should be that, I guess. We don't require them.
We have not required them in the past.
I'm just saying,
That's
that's,
because it's been a town function. So I don't know, maybe that's something we need to research a little bit, I don't know.
all right,
I think that 170 is onerous for some of these outfits that we do fund, and I suspect they wouldn't do it. Was it Barrett?
They have so far. I was going back to the comment about the fireworks, is that, I have no problem with what we've done, but are we suggesting now they need to start?
I'm just saying that's, the definition of social service organizations is unclear. I would have included, not because I don't want to see fireworks, I do, but if you're requiring all nonprofits, social service organizations, I would say that that would be included, but I could be wrong. I'm just bringing it up for discussion for you guys. I mean, we say social service organizations, I'm trying to get a better, clearer understanding of
We
what
need to
it is.
define what that is.
Ward?
Well, like I say, I'm happy with the arrangement now for the fireworks, but if we could perhaps itemize those organizations that we don't expect to see it and exempt them from this perhaps, maybe that's the way to go about
I
it.
hate to see anybody exempted when we require some to petition. In my mind, it's all their,
The only alternative is.
Ricky?
Does this need to be addressed tonight? Could-
No, I mean, again, you're gonna have a November some period cutoff.
I think,
If you wanna think about it, we can
Well-
think, you certainly can think about it.
I kind of like to, I get dangerous when I get thinking, I know, but, you know, I'm kind of with you. I don't think we ought to start picking and choosing who we're gonna make go out and get signatures. I don't think that's right.
And everybody does and nobody does. I would just say.
Absolutely. But I'd like a little time to think about this.
And the only reason I brought it up is we're in that process and I wanna get the information out.
I
We can
think
wait till the next meeting.
let's table this.
I'd like to make a motion, we table this and
Move and second, we table this till next meeting, give it some thought, come back and discuss it again. All those in favor? Unanimous.
thank you.
And I did attach the minutes of the Board of Select
I-
Persons.
Yeah, I was reading those over.
We have a citizen's request. I think that's, am I in the right place here? Citizen's request for a communications committee.
Yes.
Do we want to introduce the new director of the center first? You got a place for that?
You could do that, yes. I don't have a place. I thought we were gonna do that in advance, but that was my fault. Yes, at the last meeting, where there was a discussion of the transfer station ordinance, which is all been taken care of, Ms. Regina Kopenes, we got talking, and as a result of some email exchanges, she said, you know, I think we ought to have a communications committee. What do you think? And I said, well, I'm all for open and transparent communications. The board is, I've told the board I'm writing up a communications policy that includes the sign, the internet, the Facebook, the Facebook and the website, and the newsletter. And geez, I could use help with all of that in the sense of putting stuff together. So she made a proposal, and I said, well, geez, bring it up to the select board. You know, I'm kind of excited about it, but the board gets to vote, and they get to approve certain things. So this is Regina.
Hello.
Hi,
Maybe I'll just read my proposal, if that's okay.
that's fine.
Okay, so, as a follow-up to Dennis's introduction, thank you, Dennis. The purpose of the Communications Committee would be to foster communications between town officials and the Belgrade community through written and electronic materials such as the newsletter, the website, and social media and archival information. And the goal would be to make information and current issues that affect residents of Belgrade more accessible. Working families, older citizens, and people in the military may not have good access to technology or the time to lead through the website and audio files to be informed about current issues and topics affecting our town. We don't want to shut anyone out of getting easy access to information. Democracy works best when people are informed and involved. So I'm proposing that the newly formed communications committee would work on the newsletter, the website, and social media with the town manager.
Dennis?
Just to add one thing to that, I'm pretty near completion of this communications policy. I keep getting interrupted. I'm sorry, but obviously, all of this would be done through the approval. Once we have the policy in place, so you would approve the communications policy, and that's how the committee, if you were to establish one, would work. It'd be through the policy that you would approve. It wouldn't be ad hoc, freehand. You could certainly set up an ad hoc committee before you have a standing committee, just to see how it works. You could do virtually anything.
We could probably do this on a trial basis and see how.
That's what I'm saying.
An ad hoc instead of a standing
Right.
committee, yeah.
Yeah, I would think we would,
Go ahead, Ernie.
Who currently, I mean, are we displacing somebody
No.
who manages the website, or somebody who does the newsletter, or
No.
this is just an additional,
We have additional tasks on the backs of a lot of folks.
Yeah.
This is one of the tasks. The newsletter is one.
yeah,
And quite frankly, I'm not as satisfied with the newsletter as I'd like to be,
Yeah.
because, you know, if you can't put a lot of time into it, it's hard.
Mhm.
Sometimes you don't recognize the issues that are important to the community as readily because you're dealing with things every day. For instance, the referendum questions that are coming up this fall. I hadn't, in my mind, even considered November, and this is the last newsletter for the year, so to speak. And Regina says, when we were talking, she said, for instance, perhaps we could put referendum questions. But I said, oh, that's a good idea.
yeah.
I hadn't considered it, not because I don't think it's important, just because other things were on my mind. But I think that's the value of a group working with the town office.
It's a great idea.
Mr. Barrett?
Is the attachment here for the town of Neon, is that part of the proposal, just an example? What is that?
That's an example.
Yeah, and about 2/3 down, they have, you know, what their goals would be. And so I thought that was kind of a good example of what we could shoot for.
Are you saying that we should implement this thing for notifications, people who sign up for notifications and the like?
We could consider that, you know, I think, doesn't that already happen? Like, people can receive updates about the agenda for the select board's meeting?
And people can sign up to get on the select board agenda list. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, we already sort of have something like that going on.
The only thing that troubles me is that under the state freedom of information ordinance law, you don't have to accept open-ended requests like that. They have to be specific. And the reason for that is the amount of work it would take. What I'm concerned about is if somebody signs up and for some reason we miss them, is that going to cause a problem? If there's an error and they get left off, they don't get the message or something like that.
Well, I mean, all of that would have to be worked through. Our list is purely an email address group that names go on. And if we have, I don't know of any negative impact that you may be bringing something up that I'm not aware of.
Well, in fact, very reasonably, you can have you can purchase a listserv or something like that, where people just log on, put their name in the list, and then whatever they sign up for, they get automatically. It means a little more work in here, because people have to put that information in the system someplace.
Okay.
But it's kind of done all the time, and it's very successful.
If I could add, this could be something that we work our way into. Right now, we have 4 means of communications, right? We have the newsletter, 3 times a year. We might want to do it more frequently or not, but that would all be decided by you folks. We have the Facebook page, which we're trying to improve, but it's taking time because we got a lot of other work going on. We have the website, which I know probably could use some work. We have the messaging board for sign outside, which we need to move, but that is also part of this communications thing. So And then there's a whole issue about communications between the board and newspapers, who does that? That's all a separate kind of issue from what this group would be considering. So,
Howard, you had a question?
I think that Mike's concern could be very easily taken care of with a disclaimer statement in whatever, however you distribute information. You just simply put a disclaimer in there that, you know, it will be handled in the best possible way, and if there's an electronic glitch or a problem with some delivery of the messages and you don't get something, that's not something that the town can be held responsible for.
Ernie?
I just think that I would like to see, if we're gonna do another committee, which I'm uncomfortable about, if it's Communications Research Committee, they are not allowed to do any communicating. Comes from the town manager or our personnel.
yeah, we go
So,
through
well,
all
I'm
of
just
this.
saying, if it's a research committee, that's what it is, it's a research, they can go through and look at everything, say, this isn't right, this isn't right. And this, we suggest that you do this, you do it, you know, as far as the letter. But that committee does not do anything that represents it came from the town.
No,
That's what I'm-
exactly
that's
what the
what my
policy
fear
was,
is.
yeah. The policy, in fact, will make that statement, that the communications are coming from the town. I would have to approve the communications. So, I mean, if you delegate, right now you've delegated the newsletter, so that's one example. And the policy could be set up to take care of any concerns you might have. The real issue here, I think, is an effort on behalf of, at least a stated effort on behalf of a citizen to help the town provide a more meaningful communications perhaps than what we've been doing. And that's what I'm hearing from her. That's why I think it's, because the more open and transparent we are as a community, as a governing body, as that you are and I am as town manager, the better off everyone is. So, and when I say more open and transparent, I don't mean that you're holding anything secret or anything. I mean, if we don't somehow get that out there because of our own biases, maybe I don't think it's important, someone else does. This committee could certainly help me out with that, if you get what I'm saying. It's an effort to put more information out to the community, information that is important.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate representation of what I'm proposing.
I am ecstatic that a citizen comes forward and proposes something like this. I thought the town's communications have been lousy for years, since I got here. And I think it's an excellent thing to do. As such, I'll move that we set up an ad hoc committee initially to assist in the town manager with communications. I get a second. Is there any more discussion from the board?
Are we gonna get some kind of rules and regulations set up? on
Yes,
this?
Yeah, he said he had to do it.
I know, but I mean, we need to get that done before we set up a committee, I would think.
Well, what I'll do is, I think what we need to do is get members on the committee. I'll put up the format,
Yep.
mission, purpose, like we do for most of our committee, using this board vote, if you in fact vote to approve it,
Okay?
as the governing, the reason for it. And then we'll move forward from there. And we'll get members to the committee involved.
Okay? That's what I
More
wanted to hear.
discussion? All those in
So
favor?
what are we voting on here?
Ad hoc committee.
So this is just a,
An ad hoc committee which can be disbanded at any time. It's not, at this point, won't be an official town committee.
And they'll work within the guidance of the
Yep.
communications policy that you approve.
I just want to give it a try.
Did we vote on that? All those in favor? All right, we did it.
And I'll bring it back at the next meeting. I'll have something drafted for you to look at in terms of the establishment of the committee.
And thank you again for doing that.
Thanks.
That's wonderful.
Well, thank you, and I'm looking forward to working with
Great.
the town on this.
Bingo approval. Or do we want to do the introductions first?
Let's do the introduction.
Yeah, let's do it. Lily, you want to come on up with that person that's with you? That we don't know anymore. Lily is our new recreation director, and she's been in the seat, how long now? About a week?
Almost.
Acting capacity for 3 weeks, I think.
A month.
A month,
Yeah.
active capacity.
Excuse me.
And do you all
Congratulations, Dave.
recognize Lily as somebody you know?
No, I've never seen it.
That's why that other person back there is with her. So we welcome you and look forward to a long career that you have in the recreation area. And you've got big shoes to follow in.
Yes, I do.
So thank you much.
Thank you.
Gentlemen?
Good luck.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Got a hand up?
Huh?
You have a hand up?
Yes.
What's Lily's last name? Schubert. Oh, I'm the one. That makes sense. Yeah, okay, thank you.
I'm sorry I didn't say that, yes. Beano bingo registration for Belgrade Central PTO.
And I don't believe this is unfamiliar to you.
We've had it.
I think we do this about every year,
I'll
don't we?
make a motion to accept it.
This is tied in with the one for the Rotary too, isn't it?
There's two of them, I
It's the
think.
same
There's
event.
two of them here.
Why not vote on them together?
I think we have to do them separately, but I'm not, I don't care.
That's fine. Did you, motion made, I'll second it.
I have a motion to accept both,
One.
one of them, the first one.
I think
And
we
do I
need to
have a
do them
second?
separate.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor? And the second one is, who is it?
Rotary Club, Vesta.
Rotary Club.
Move approval.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, we should get the name, the address and phone number of Julie Bartner, it looks like. That was left blank, it shouldn't be.
Okay. I'll get,
Have we done this one before?
Yeah,
No,
last year we did.
We did this one last year?
Yep.
we did?
They're tied in
What's
together.
what's the date? Same date?
Yeah, that's the same event.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is it the
Sorry.
same
Yeah, they
event?
help each other out,
I'm
basically.
sorry, I didn't know that. If that's it.
Okay.
I didn't
Short
remember that.
discussion?
No.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And it's carried. Policy reviews. The first policy we're going to review is the alcohol policy. I think there should be more. I guess that's not funny.
Alcohol?
Are there any comments? I have one. General considerations, second paragraph. Periods of alcohol consumption will not overlap with regularly scheduled library hours
You take that out.
during rental events. Do they rent the library?
No, your library used to be there, that's the old wording. The library's not up there anymore. That really can be removed.
Yes.
good catch.
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, there's, forgive me, but I can't figure exactly where it is, but there are two references to the amount of time before the event, the applications have to come in. One says 2 weeks, and the other one says 3 weeks, and it seems to me there should be some consistency there. I don't care which it is,
It's
but
the second paragraph under general consideration. The contracted rental fee must be paid in full at least 2 weeks prior to the event.
yeah, and then later on it says 3 weeks. That's right there.
And where's the 3 weeks?
It might be in a separate policy, I don't know. It's later on. I'll find it. I've got it highlighted. Maybe under the fee.
You do have it highlighted?
Yeah, I've highlighted. I always highlight. I just didn't find it.
Well, then, it says if damages exceed deposit, there's 3 business days. I see that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, prior to scheduled activity, if less than 21 days prior to the event, the facility can be re-rented during schedule. Yeah, I guess they're both 2 weeks. 21 days is
21
3
days
weeks.
is 3 weeks.
3 weeks, and the other one's in 2 weeks.
Where's that at?
Where's it at, Michael?
It's under the next policy, the one on fee schedules, on
Parks and Rec?
requisites for rentals.
Okay,
Under B.
Okay, so that's under, that's one that, I have a comment about that. We're gonna I've
Okay.
asked that to be.
It seems to me it should be the same in both policies,
Right.
whatever it is.
Yeah. And there are other changes that the Parks and Recs Committee, which haven't been able to get pulled together, which I didn't realize they were gonna, well, they have questions on it. They've asked me to pull it until the next meeting. This review, not on the alcohol policy,
The next one.
but on the next policy, Park and
So then
Rec
we're-
policy and fee schedule. So they want to take time to review that.
Then we'll table that.
Roles and responsibilities, is that the one you're talking about?
Parks and Rec policy and fee schedule.
Right.
That's the next one.
But you
That's
said
the one
next-
we're
you
not-
said and the next one.
They want it tabled. The Recreation Committee wants it tabled because they have input for that.
Okay.
So, for the alcohol policy, can I hear
I'll make a motion to accept it based on the amendment.
the two changes, and I think then you made those back.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, any more discussion? All those in favor? Done?
I'll make a motion to table the next one.
Seconded,
Second?
any discussion? All those in favor? And the third one is guidelines and distribution for the discretionary heating, fuel, and assistance fund. And I think, Denny, you've got some comments on that.
Just to make a comment, this is a fuel fund that where we cannot, a person may not qualify for general assistance for a particular reason, I don't know. We set up, we had a discretionary fuel heating assistance fund that was populated with money from donations. The town at the annual meeting at times, and I don't know if you did it in the past couple of years, but you put $500 in or whatever. But that fund is there. This is a guideline that essentially allows the town manager using this guidance document to expend money from that fund for those people that truly need it, but can't really, it's like an
They don't
emergency.
qualify for general assistance.
Has this changed, Denny, or is this?
No, this is exactly as it was written.
I think what we've been using seems to have been working good. And we do continue to put some money in there based on whatever.
And we get, I don't know if we got any this year because I wasn't around, but I know that every year,
$1,000 or something like that.
we used to get money. So,
I'll make a motion, we accept this.
Seconded?
Second.
All those in favor?
No,
You have, okay, discussion?
where the term offices, municipal offices is used in two places, that should be municipal officials. We're the officers, unless you want us to go down and do it. And under purpose, the second sentence.
Okay, I got it. Municipal
And
officials.
and then also, top of the page, next page, municipal officer.
The officials.
Yeah. We can't go send a single officer down there and do it.
You gotta get Barrett a dictionary.
No,
Apple.
that I am absolutely correct on.
You're starting all over again.
Oh,
There goes this
I
apology.
You apologize,
I
and you
know.
throw him under the bus.
Apology wasn't worth the tinker's dime.
Okay. I don't want to get into that again.
All right.
Okay, have we got that one?
Yeah, that's a minor thing.
See you, ladies. Good seeing you both.
Hey, thanks for coming in. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Quinn.
There are no abatements.
Okay,
On the abatement thing, I have a real problem with that. A serious problem with it. I have not gotten a tax bill. I got my tax bill, I came in here, I was guaranteed there was gonna be abatement done a month or 2 months ago. Okay, I can't get my real tax bill, which is big money, because they took and erased it and gave me the one that I've been trying to get removed for 3 years, and they keep abating it.
I'll get this thing.
So I'm just saying, you know,
I don't know.
I'm waiting for my tax bill.
I'll find out what's going on with that, because I know when you came in, we talked, and that was
Well,
like.
it was all done, it was gonna be on the next thing,
Yeah.
and something happened.
You didn't get
are
it.
you satisfied with the
Well,
answer?
no, well, all I wanna do,
Yeah, I got
I
it,
just
yeah.
wanna make sure that it comes here, it's a lot that I did away with 3 years ago, and now they took my main property and I didn't get a bill.
Well, we're gonna check it out, but I do know that he was extremely busy today, and he put in the October 5th and the 16th as regular days that he's gonna meet next week, but he's also scheduling a third day so he can come in and get caught up.
Well, just
I'll make sure that, I'll.
3 months ago, I was assured because I came in, because I
Before the
prepaid,
taxes, yeah.
and they brought it up, and it was like, it's gone. So now they couldn't do anything until that one was abated.
Yeah.
And I was guaranteed, that, I'm just throwing, I'm not trying to throw, it's just paperwork got messed up. It's
Yeah,
getting
you gotta
messed up.
straighten it out. You gotta straighten it out.
Pretty soon, people are gonna wonder, why am I keep getting abated? Well, it's not really.
Are they gonna publish your name in the town report?
No.
I could go for that.
I just,
We'll
I
take
In
just
that
wanna
big
get my
long
tax
list, Ernie.
You wanna get your tax bill straightened out.
Well, I'm on my third paycheck from the board, all right, and that goes on my taxes. And I'm not cashing them until I get my tax bills and give you people the money back.
Okay, got it.
Okay, would you read the warrant, please?
Oh, I can do that if I can hand it to them. Oh, I can read this one.
Yeah.
This is a good one?
Is this a good warrant?
Usually it's been changed.
There should be two warrants there.
There's something wrong, I didn't have anything to highlight this one.
There you go, there's a bigger one and a smaller one. And are those in here?
Is it two of them?
Both of them?
Yeah, no, the second one was just done today.
That's the newspaper warrant, or the newsletter.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
there's two.
printing.
Not printing,
All right,
mail.
I'll do the big one first. Warrant 116, it's $312.20.
I'll second that.
That's the newsletter.
What do you mean, it's the newsletter?
Waste of money.
Mailing?
Yeah.
Why don't
Just
you
in
say
case you
that?
guys ask.
We want to communicate with.
Thank you.
Fire starter right there.
It's for the newsletter mailing. Anybody
Mailing.
have any questions on that?
No.
Can I get a motion to accept that warrant? And a
Second,
second.
you got it second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Outstanding job.
Warrant number 112, $642,403.41.
I'll second that.
I didn't find anything.
I don't need it, no, it's scary.
It is.
I take a motion to accept that warrant.
I already did that.
You did, and I'll
And
second
a
it.
second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Any discussion on the warrant? All those in favor? Okay? And we go down to town man. Should we have discussion, Denny, on that?
We always do.
Yeah.
I didn't find
Ricky's been working too hard.
No, I didn't find anything. I looked over it, don't worry. I had a couple things circled, but I'm fine with
You
it.
can ask me later.
No, I'm fine
Town
with it.
manager.
Yes, just a few quick things. I told you about the transfer station and recycling ordinance, that's all available now and corrected. We have met with the budget committee and we're going through the scheduling for future budget meetings. We got one coming up in first week in October, I think, with the budget committee again to present a sample kind of information that they'd be getting. And I think that that's going really well. I've asked all departments to submit their budgets to me in draft form by October 12th. We'll be setting up meetings shortly after October 12th with the budget committee to go through those. And if they have any questions, we'll bring in department meetings. No decisions are going to be made, no voting is going to be made. But I just want to get the budget committee on board. They can ask their questions and all that. And then we'll set up, once we get that, we'll go through all of that and all of the information that the budget committee needed and stuff. Then we'll set up meetings with the select board and the budget committee. That's where your voting and stuff will take place. But getting their comments and stuff early, getting information that they want prepared early will help us in the long run in shortening that other process. So we'll be coming up with that. I was trying to schedule the sign move. As you know, we're going to move that sign. I've got an approval from the DOT, and that should be coming up when I get it scheduled. The newsletter's finished and will be being mailed out here soon. This facility survey for the budget process, we rescheduled on that because last week was a busy week for a couple folks. So we'll reschedule that for this Friday, I believe, or Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah. And that's just an effort to help Gary Foss in looking at priorities or needs around certain facilities so that we can prioritize and then budget for a 1, 2, or 3 year fix, depending on what the need is. The old town office is now scheduled for closing. I believe it will close on September 28th if all goes well. And I think that it will. I had an enforcement meeting with DEP and a couple of the violations that we've noted. And one is an old violation from back in 2010 that wasn't, the consent agreement wasn't quite followed, so we're looking at further action along with the junkyard violations that we have ongoing, and we're trying to correct those. I have a form here that designates for the Maine municipal meeting that's coming up. It designates delegates and an alternate for voting, and I've got that. It's got to be approved by the municipal officers. And the delegates would be, first would be Michael Barrett, because he's going in for the select board, and then it would be me if Michael can't make it for some reason. So I'll have you sign that, and you have them sign that. Just wanted to note that the cost sharing committee meeting, will be meeting, the cost sharing committee for RSU 18, will be meeting on Thursday. And I think I'll let it at that. There are some issues out there that have been relayed to me, but it's only rumor now, so I will wait and see.
Got a hand up?
Yeah, Howard. Well, actually, Ernie, go ahead.
Well, this is a request to the select board. And I'll put it this way. I've done a considerable amount of research, been involved in some considerable amount of research dealing with this RSU 18 withdrawal process. And it's been a real eye-opener to me. And I'm going to let Danny, I talked with Danny today about some of my feelings, which initially, first off, I just want to point out the fact my initial thought on this was about how much money can you save. Well, in talking with some key people who have been down this road, gone through this road, that's kind of the way they started. And then in reviewing this, they discovered that the real issue is having control and how important it is, and those that have, some of those that have done it are just ecstatic that they now have control and the extra benefits that they can provide to their, especially their local school children, because they have their own school board, they're in control of how their kids are being educated. And most of these organizations that have withdrawn, they start out because of money issues. They pay them all kinds of money. So they have, through the research that I have discovered, it looks like that in viewing it from the matter that it doesn't matter what the cost is. It doesn't matter how much we save. The idea is we need to be in control of how our children are being educated. And if we want to offer some special things, which some of these organizations now do, that's a separate article that goes before the voter. And they've had astounding results on the vote tallies from those things. And I'll let Denny fill you in on what my request is about.
Right. If you remember at the last, at the public hearing on the referendum issue, on the wording for the issue and moving it forward to the referendum question, what you did at the last meeting, there were some audience members who requested that, well, who were saying, well, isn't the town going to hold meetings and all of this? And, you know, at the time I said, well, the town could hold meetings, it's up to the select board, but it wasn't requisite on part of the town that the proponents and the opponents should be educating the public as well. Well, what I'm hearing from Ernie is a request that the town hold a public informational meeting. We'd invite all sides. We'd invite the DOE. We'd invite board RSU 18. We'd invite the proponents, opponents, and essentially set up a public information meeting where the public could ask questions of the DOE, because I know there were questions about what the DOE says and doesn't say. There are questions about what the RSU has to say about it, etc. So we could set up that as a public informational meeting, and we could advertise it, get as many people there as possible. And then that would be an effort on part of the town about this very important issue. It's probably one of the more important issues that are facing the community in recent years, we could get information as much as we can through this meeting out to the town. So that's up to the board if they want us to do that, or if they want to let the opponents and proponents do it. But it's an easy enough thing for us to invite these folks, set up a meeting probably at the Center for All Seasons if we expect a huge crowd, and to give, set a date certain. I would work with the opponents and the opponents to talk about better times, what would be the better time for you guys, set up a date, and then we'd work toward that date. Prior to the referendum going to the public in November.
Now, the purpose of the meeting is not to advocate for one position or the other, just to present.
Well, it's to present all sides.
There are certainly going to be people there not advocating for the position, and people advocating, and other people just offering information.
Ernie?
I just would like to just insert that data that I have now become aware of, actual factual things. It's very impressive, and initially, it was like, okay, I think we're gonna save some money. That was where I was at. But after you listen to what some of these districts that have withdrawn, what they have been able to provide, what they've accomplished, and what they can work with, because now they're using their tax dollars for their children. And we're not taking our tax dollars, sending it off to an RSU, and the RSU structure has changed from what, and Denny and I talked, from when originally SAD was a lot different than what an RSU is. So we have an RSU now who, I just, in researching this, I have found some things that I personally would like to see all parties come together. Let's throw it all out there on the floor. Let's throw out what is good, bad, and indifferent. What do you think? I'm not saying obviously I'm in favor of researching what our options are. And my thing to the board is that my initial thought was strictly, we're gonna save some money. Now my thought more in line with, I think this is very beneficial to our children.
So, as I said, this would be a public informational meeting. If you want me to set it up, on behalf of the board, I'm more than willing to do that. I'll work with the opponents and proponents to see if they want to, when and where they prefer the meeting to be held. And I'll call in other information resources like the DOE, RSU. We'll have our board members, and obviously they'd be there. So, it'd be up to you guys.
I think I'd like to see a motion that we do. I think it's, the more information that gets out there, the more beneficial it is to the community, and the more beneficial it is to all the voters. If you can get a substantial number at this meeting, it becomes a valuable thing. Mr. Barrett?
I'll make that motion that we set up and hold a meeting, an informational meeting, inviting the appropriate parties to participate, and invite anybody in town who wants to come and learn.
We'll post it.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, but the only thing I want to make sure, we set some ground rules down that we're not going to go badgering people. I felt the last meeting, there was some people badgering, and you know what, it needs to stop. That needs to not happen. We're not there to say it's your fault or their fault. We need to be there, get information only.
I'd like to see a moderator
Yes.
that would run the meeting and make sure that, that every side gets their story told. Mr.
That would be my-
Yes.
The point I think Rick's trying to make is, we want to make it clear, this isn't a debate.
Right.
Yeah.
This is.
It's an informational
It's an
meeting.
informational meeting.
Yeah.
And, people may fall on one side or the other and think they have all the information. And, there's things that the opponents of this may throw out that, the proponents of it didn't know, or vice versa.
Or don't like.
Yeah, and so it's just, initially when this was proposed, and I think it's, information is great, and communications in general is great. I'm in favor of it all the time, but it sounded to me like free for all, and we better have the fire hose ready.
Oh, no, I think,
I don't want that,
you
you know?
probably want it moderated so that
Yeah.
there isn't any, recriminations. And
Should be a bias.
Yeah, okay, I have a motion and a second. Go ahead, yes.
Do you think we should maybe see if Jay could moderate that?
If you folks think that Jay would be the moderator of choice, I think he'd do a great job.
Well, he would do a great job, but would he do it? And I
Well,
mean,
I can check that
unless you
out.
would.
Unless you, I think you can do a good job too if you want to do it. You
I'm
should-
old.
I know.
I have heart
You
problems.
We'll find,
I don't have a problem with you doing it. I think
No, I don't have
it's
any
fine
problems with you
because
doing it either.
somebody needs to be in control to stop it if it starts getting,
we'll
I
work
want to
it out.
stop this right now.
well, really. that's
How
it.
was that?
That's good.
I think, I'd like to invite Jay to do that. If you won't do it, I'll do it. Okay, so.
Well, thank you. Well, we got.
Can we vote on this, please? We're gonna have an informational meeting. It had been moved and seconded, we had discussed it. Okay?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
yep. Anything to add, gentlemen? Howard?
Place and time of the cost sharing meeting?
It's
It's
at the.
6 o'clock or 7 o'clock?
Central,
6 o'clock.
central office, I think it's.
6 o'clock at
Central.
the RSU 18 office. You know where that's at?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Geez, you're gonna,
I almost set a record on this one.
I got one
Go ahead,
comment.
yes.
thing.
shut him off.
It doesn't start till 8 o'clock,
No.
so we're.
But I think the sign out there said select board meeting tonight at 6:30. I
Well-
looked at that and I,
Well, the select board meeting was at
Yeah.
scheduled for 6:30. The hearing, we put a half an hour in there.
Yeah.
I know, but shouldn't we put, I mean, we started the meeting before 6:30.
Yeah, it's a fair comment. And-
Yeah.
I just think if we're gonna have a meeting here, it ought to be 6 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any difference until you're done.
I mean, and I looked at it and I go, that's not right. I'm just glanced at
We
it on the way
will,
by.
we will work to improve that.
I mean, I'm not throwing people under the bus. I just think we
No,
need
it's a
to,
fair
if
comment.
you talk about information, that needs to be done.
It's a fair
I think-
comment. What we should probably do on our select board meeting agenda,
Put
so they're
6 o'clock.
scheduled for 6:30, however, if it's after a public hearing, it may start a little earlier.
Yeah.
Something like
Or
that.
later.
Ernie?
Can we just do the sign out there, that select board public hearing, 6 o'clock Tuesday night?
Yeah.
We'll go, I mean,
We can do-
that
we
way,
can do that.
yeah, that way,
We'll work it out.
Yes.
Dick Bourne. I think if you're gonna have your select board meeting at 6:30, that's when the select board meeting ought to happen. It shouldn't start before that, because that's what's publicly out there.
I agree with that.
Public
Yes,
hearing at
yep.
6 o'clock, that's fine. If you finish up at 5 minutes past 6, then you've got 25 minutes to.
That's kind of what I was getting to.
Well, I'm not so sure that our public hearing and select board meeting at 6 wouldn't cover that. So you could start after the public
I
hearing.
don't think that's appropriate.
Okay, I got you.
probably not.
Well, I think that if we
Just-
schedule it,
Just a heads up, that's all. it
no,
is.
they're both very good comments, and we will work on it.
This is the last time we're getting out early.
Anything else, gentlemen?
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
And do I have a second?
But wait a minute, it's not 8 o'clock.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all.
It's been another pleasure, and all of you also, thank you for attending and being
Bunch
patient.
of stuff to sign.
Okay, get it around.
Sorry, we're busy.
Get it around.
I'll get it when the check comes in.
Two bingo things.
Yes. I don't care.
Any,
Fine with me. I don't know if any,
title select person we're at afterwards?
me neither. We're gonna tell him.
All five?
Come on,
I got
coffee or
you.
something. I could go use the little girl's room.
And the date is what? 19.
Got your boat all out?
No, it's still in. In fact, I'm about sailing.
Was you really? Yeah. Gonna have some more good weather.
Oh, yeah, that's why I left it in. I have a new sailboat.
Ernie, there you go. Don't let Ricky out of here. Hey, Ricky. Hey, Rick. Signatures.
Yeah, he's just going to the bathroom.
Okay.
Something to do with bingo or something.
Yeah,
That
these-
one's the bingo. Well, both of these are. Two different.
there's the two bingos.
By the way, you were
This one's the general.
kidding me about the different beneficiaries.
No.
That's state law.
I'm sure there's no
Go get
law that
his,
says that.
ask him, what the hell is this bullshit? Go ahead, take it over.
General assistance ordinance.
Why do I feel like you're setting me up for something?
No, it is, it's right there.